Lake Mead on the Colorado River is the reservoir for the Hoover Dam. The lake is located in the southwestern United States on the border between Nevada and Arizona. Lake Mead is one of the world's biggest man-made lakes and reservoirs in the United States. It is 112 miles, that's 180 kilometers long, 532 feet, that's 162 meters deep, 247 square miles or 640 square kilometers in size, 1,229 feet, that's 375 meters above sea level, and holds 28.23 million acre-feet, that's 34.82 cubic kilometers of water. About 25 million people and a lot of agriculture depend on the water that flows from Lake Mead to the states of Arizona, California, and Nevada, as well as some parts of Mexico. Sadly, Lake Mead is drying up, and it's worse than you can imagine. Stay tuned for all the information regarding Lake Mead. The western United States is currently experiencing the worst drought in recorded history. The lack of water profoundly impacts the area, and communities struggle to cope. In recent months, the mega-effects droughts on Lake Mead became shockingly evident, and worries over the drought appeared to approach a fever pitch. There was reduced plant growth and a notable difference in the air quality as uncontrollable wildfires scorched millions of acres of land. Current circumstances are the driest they have been in at least 1,200 years. Due to the consequences of climate change, this trend is only expected to worsen over the next decade. We will tell you why the Colorado River system is so crucial, but first, let's tell you how it all started. The construction of this dam occurred during the Great Depression. It is vital to the growth of the areas around it, where dry desert weather had previously prevented urban and industrial development. For this reason and more, keeping Lake Mead at a specific elevation allows water to flow through Hoover Dam and provide hydroelectric power to water and irrigation agencies and communities in Arizona, California, Nevada, and Mexico. The dam's capacity to produce electricity decreases as the reservoir levels drop. This is because the amount of hydroelectric power created by the Hoover Dam also depends on the dam's height. Approximately 1.3 million people in 3 states get hydroelectric electricity from the Hoover Dam, located below Lake Mead. However, the dam is only using 67% of its available power. The dam turbines will cease turning if the height of the reservoir drops below 950 feet. In addition, Hoover Dam and Lake Mead play crucial roles in the intricate system that divides and distributes the Colorado River. They provide water to 11 national parks, irrigate 5.5 million acres of agriculture, and are home to dozens of indigenous peoples. Unfortunately, the volume of Lake Mead has reached a new all-time low this summer. Cracked ground and bare valleys were visible in photographs, while satellite imagery indicated the receding shorelines of the reservoir. Fears that Lake Mead could sink to dead pool status prompted unprecedented cuts in water supplies to multiple states. Shockingly, human remains resurfaced in the receding reservoir on 5 separate occasions, reopening missing person cases. A sunken World War II-era boat and schools of lifeless fish also surfaced. A bathtub ring around the lake reveals ebbing water levels throughout time. At a glance, one can easily see that nearly every angle at the reservoir reveals the full extent of water loss. A broad white stripe of silt left behind from earlier water levels along the edges of towering rock formations that protrude from the lake's surface. After declaring a deficit in the river's lower basin last year, this was the second round of water rationing. The federal government is expected to seek more cutbacks to prevent a disastrous deficit. Lake Mead's level has been falling steadily since July of 1937, when the reservoir was initially filled. It has reached its lowest point since then. The elevation measured at Hoover Dam was 1,043, perilously near the 1,000-foot minimum needed to run its hydroelectric turbines. A mere 26% of Lake Powell's entire capacity was used for hydroelectric power turbines at Glen Canyon Dam. In comparison, the overall capacity of the Colorado River was only 10% higher. This is how it appeared in 1983. After over 40 years, Lake Mead has dropped 178 feet and is still becoming smaller. In 2016, the United States Department of the Interior declared a water deficit in the lower basin, making mandatory reductions for the first time under emergency rules developed in 2007 in response to the drought. Tier 1 shortage cutbacks hit Arizona and Nevada especially hard. Sadly, they'll be hit again in 2023 when Tier 2 shortfall rules are enforced and severely reduce water supplies. Because of critically low reservoir conditions at Lakes Mead and Powell, the Interior Department has increased reductions. Arizona will get 21% less water than it would typically be given. Nevada and Mexico will lose 8% and 7% of their water supplies respectively. Lake Powell, located downstream, was formed by the Glen Canyon Dam a few hundred miles upstream and is as essential to the Colorado River system as Lake Mead. According to research by the Energy Monitoring Agency (NERC), a loss of electricity from Glen Canyon Dam during a season when energy demand rises typically, like summer, might disrupt the local power system. What could be the possible cause of the reduced water level? Researchers believe lower water flows through the Colorado River system due to a prolonged high weather trend that stays over the west. Indeed, certain portions of California and Nevada get little precipitation since they're located under this weather pattern. Long, dry spells reduce the amount of water stored in Lakes Mead and Powell. At the same time, less snow in the Rocky Mountains means less water is carried downstream when the Colorado River melts in the summer. They believe that to solve the problem, the Colorado Rockies must have above-average snowfall for more than 10 years. Furthermore, there has traditionally been less water flowing freely through the system than the agreement initially intended, since too much water was allotted when the Colorado River Compact decided the state's allocations a century ago. Seasonal fluctuations, such as the periods of hefty rain recorded in recent times, can still occur while the overall pattern remains in place. Climate scientists believe this upper-level pattern will become more prevalent in a warming world due to climate change. Historically, states were permitted to withdraw a certain quantity of water from the river annually. This supply allowed for growth and development throughout the country for over a century. However, this was predicated on what scientists subsequently determined needed a more accurate assessment of the rivers. Growth has outstripped the water supply. Samuel Sandoval Solis, a professor at the University of California and a cooperative extension specialist in water, stated that even though California is not currently receiving a cut in its water allocation, some farmers are trying out conservation methods as allocations drop, and many are opting to cut land and grow fewer crops instead, according to Malika Noko, a cooperative extension scientist exploring drought irrigation and a colleague of Solis. For the record, resources are very stretched out in Southern California. As a result of decreased runoff from Northern California, state irrigation agencies sent less water to southern counties. California was immune to cuts enacted by the federal government. The southern part of the state gets between a quarter and a third of the state's total water supply from the Colorado River, the source of the state's most significant yearly allocation. Two enormous canals bring river water into Southern California, where it is used for irrigation and hydroelectric power generation on 600,000 acres of agriculture. Losses in California's agricultural industry are substantial even without government cutbacks due to water scarcity. In response to the water shortage, the United States government is taking serious steps towards finding lasting solutions to conserve resources. From the records, more than $12 billion from President Joe Biden's infrastructure law and the recently passed Inflation Reduction Act is intended to improve Western water, power infrastructure and address challenges brought on by the drought. Decorative grass has been outlawed, and water police patrol the streets of southern Nevada looking for signs of wasteful behavior. Water from a canal that serves 80% of Arizona's population is being diverted, threatening the viability of the state's primary agriculture sector and cities like Phoenix and Tucson. We hope you enjoyed watching this video. If yes, we're sure you would like this next video here. Thanks for watching.